Hello and welcome back to another video in the world of Monster Hunter. Now today I'm going over my top 5 charge blades, and before we get into it I wish to iterate that these are not technically the best charge blades. They're not the most powerful charge blades. You can probably look up a list of the most powerful charge blades somewhere else. Team Darkside probably be the best bet, but these are just charge blades that I really enjoy playing with for a variety of different reasons. I find them quite tactical or enjoyable to use. I like the effects. Some of them I just like the way they look, and I am hoping to do one of these videos for each weapon type. The next one will probably be heavy bowgun. So if you do like this and you are wanting to see other weapons, do let me know in the comments below. But the main weapons I am currently using are charge blade and heavy bowgun. I do have a few others, but yeah, you know, that's just how it goes. In reality, people just like their own weapons. So yeah, like I said, these aren't the best. They're the ones I just like. These are my favourites, the ones that if you ever play a game with me, I tend to be using these. Anyway, without further ado, let us begin. Now in at number 5 we have the Gama Silt 2, which is the charge blade from Gama. Now the main reason I like this is because it's for me a reminiscent of a blast from the past, quite literally. Basically, I've always liked blast weapons. I've really enjoyed them. In Monster Hunter 4U, I used to have a lovely setup using the Crimson Fatalis charge blade, due to the way in which blast worked in that game, which it doesn't seem to be working the same way in this one. But that isn't stopping me from enjoying the weapon in this game. It's technically not one of the best charge blades, although I have noticed that if you can, by some miracle, get the blast proc with the super elemental amped discharge, or alt as most just call it, it potentially is the most damaging hit out of all the charge blades currently in this game. But that is seldom, few far between. I think out of all the times that I've been using it, I've maybe done it twice. It's really hard to sort of actually get a grasp of it, but when it does hit, oh boy does it hit, and hit bloody hard. So it is, for me at least, it is a good charge blade. I like the look. It's okay on damage at raw, being 612, blue sharpness, 0% affinity, 180 blast, impact file, which is always a plus, and it has 2 level 2 slots for your decorations, and being rarity 7, it will have 2 augment slots for when you get to that point in the game. But yeah, like I said, just the blast damage I find to be quite useful. Obviously there are blast build up perks that you can get to help bolster it, and obviously after a while enemies do become resistant to it, but it's not really too much of a big deal because it's got moderate damage. It does okay, and to be honest, I just really like it. It's quite a fun way to go, blast damage on a charge blade. Number 4, Dear Hecatalia, or however you wish to pronounce that. This is the Rathian and then pink Rathian charge blade. This for me has always had a soft spot. It was probably the first charge blade I ever got when charge blades were introduced in Monster Hunter 4. Always liked a bit of the old Rathian. Pink Rathian for some weird reason is an absolute cancer for me, but then I find gold Rathian even easier. So we're just going to ignore the complete logic that doesn't make. So why do I like the Rathian charge blades? Well, for a start, I honestly love the sleek and slender look. I do like the simple fact that when it comes to the pink Rathian side, you do just have this pink charge blade and it does hit pretty darn hard. And on top of that, it's poison, so you have some rather lovely DOT going on, and with a Venom build that I've got going on, I've got a level 5 Venom attack thing going on. It's really easy to give things a bit of the old poison and keep the poison going, and regardless of their resistances to it, unless they're completely immune, can always generally get things nicely intoxicated. So onto the stats. 684 attack, blue sharpness, 0 affinity, 330 poison. It's another impact file, 2 level 2 slots, and being again rarity 7, you can have 2 augments, which is generally quite lovely. Now again, one of the main reasons I like this is purely for the aesthetic. You might even notice that I've even got my armour to be a bit pink. But it is a really good weapon regardless, and I do believe that this weapon is actually in most people's top 5 regardless, so this one might actually be worth taking note of. In at number 3 is the Howberrian Blade. Now, I won't lie, this is the best charge blade you can ever possibly get in the entire game. No, seriously, although I would argue that simply for the argument of versus Val Hazak, I would definitely stay and stand by this is potentially the best charge blade you can get for that. Hence why, yet again, you can see me fighting Val Hazak with the Howberrian Blade. I really like this weapon. It makes you a little bit of an edgelord, which can be seen as either a plus or a negative, but that's entirely up to you. For me, it's definitely a plus. So, why do I like this weapon? Well, it makes Val Hazak darn easy, and I love fighting Val Hazak. Tempered, non-tempered, angry. Yeah, it basically just squishes him, and it's bloody amazing. I love fighting Val Hazak. He's got some really interesting mechanics, and this weapon just makes him, I don't know, I like it. I can't explain it. It's a really great weapon. It's the only weapon on this list that is power elemental. It's a good thing I've got a build to help bolster that. It's not as effective as impact files, but it does work nonetheless. And if you are so inclined, and what I will be planning on doing at some point, despite the fact that the files cannot crit, this weapon does have a decent amount of affinity, 20% in fact. You can get a nice crit build on it just for the actual impact, but other than that, it has 684 attack, blue sharpness, 20% affinity, 240 fire. It is a power elemental, no decoration slot, and again rare 7, so you get your 2 augmentation slots, which is nice really. It's honestly, this weapon for me, I would argue, is potentially the best elemental file in the game, simply because of how easy this monster is to farm and how easy this weapon makes him to farm. On to number 2, and of course this is the Diablos Tyrannis. Now, I'm in a bit of up in arms about this weapon, but I can't lie that it is a bloody good weapon. In terms of raw damage, it is potentially the best. It's absolutely stupid in terms of output. Its impact file, you can get the elementless jewel just to give you that extra 10%. Looks like absolute shit. You've got to fight Diablos and Black Diablos to get it. Some of you might go, oh, it's just a Diablos though. But for people that have never really played this game before, Diablos literally is Satan, and Black Diablos is Satan's bitch while on her period. So it's going to be an absolute frigging nightmare. So you have to understand how the new players will see it, which is basically they're in a corner, curled up into a ball, screaming no, not again. Which just got a little bit sexual. So the Diablos Tyrannis 2, arguably overall in terms of specs, the best charge blade in the game at the moment. it's just brutal. And then simply adding in what its actual stats are, which it gives you plus 15 on defense for a start, 828 damage at base, blue sharpness, although admittedly not a lot, but you can bolster that with handicraft, and it can go into white sharpness. Well, all the other blades on this list -1 can go into white sharpness. It's got negative 30 affinity, but as long as you're running something like weakness exploit, not a problem. And you can, if you're using free element, which I don't recommend you do, you can get 180 ice, and it's impact file. It doesn't have a decoration slot, and again rare 7, so it can be augmented twice. This weapon is literally just stupid. Like, it is absolutely bonkers. It looks like a bag of shit in my opinion, but the output, oh my god, seriously, stand back and let me hurt you. Jesus. On to my number 1 weapon, and this might catch a few people by surprise. It's Devastation's Thorns. Why Devastation's Thorns? Well, we're just going to go straight into the stats. 756 attack, a hell of a chunk of blue sharpness, and it is not affected by handicraft whatsoever, by the way. 0% affinity, so you can go either way with that really. You can actually do a crit build. Why? Because it's also, despite having 150 dragon and being what you would consider to be an elemental weapon, it's an impact file with 1 decoration slot and an Elder Seal. Why the emphasis on Elder Seal? Well, simply put, the entire endgame at the moment is Elder Dragons. Elder Seal make Elder Dragons easy. High damage, dragon attack, which pretty much every Elder Dragon is weak to. Impact file for because fuck you, and Elder Seal. What is not like what? Other than the broom of a sword, because let's face it, the shield looks amazing, but the broom, yeah. In terms of practicality, at the moment in the current game on PC for Elder Dragons, this is your weapon. This is what you. Well, if you're a charge blade user, if you're not a charge blade user, don't worry about it. But if you like your charge blades and you're doing Elder Dragons, dude, this is what you're wanting. This should be what you're needing. This is like your love life. Now, despite me actually saying that you can do a crit build for this, and you perfectly are within your rights to do so, you need to remember that the files themselves cannot and do not crit. So what you're actually trying to do with a crit build is, as that final strike comes down on your ult or SEAD, Super Elemental Amp Discharge, you need to be aiming near enough perfectly for a weak spot to make full use of your affinity, weakness exploit, the lot. To make full use of your damage, you near enough need to have a perfect aim, and it can do an absolute ton of damage. So if you don't have a near perfect aim, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't do it because I don't have a near perfect aim. I'm trying to opt more for just overall damage, so I've actually got near enough maxed out damage on mine. I think I'm at like level 5 attack, but in all, really, this weapon is bloody awesome. Being rarity 8, it only has the 1 augmentation slot. I have gone with healing because damage wise I'm fine, where I've sacrificed quite a bit of my defensive capabilities. The Super Elemental Amp Discharge does allow me to heal quite effectively. Anyway, that's me. Hope to see you guys pretty darn soon. Have fun. Ta-ra!